Joe was just boomerang right into
Receivers.
receivers.
Yeah, this is going to kind of tie into my quarterbacks. I'm really big into my stacks this week and then playing my stacks off of each other. So, Kansas City, Tyreek Hill. I got him going in almost every lineup. I think he's going to smash this week. He's going to get Lamarcus Joyner on him a lot. And Lamarcus Joyner just isn't fast. He's very good in the box, but as soon as he has to cover Tyreek across the field, he's screwed.
Yeah,
So I think he's a huge hit. Sammy Watkins at 4,500. He might be someone that I throw in there if I need a cheap guy. But I'm really loving San Francisco between Debo and Ayuk. I'm having a hard time picking which one. My gut keeps telling me Debo. So I'm all over Debo this week, and I'm just saying, fuck it. I'm literally going like 85% Debo. And then going another like 15% Ayuk. So with the Falcons, I really like Ridley this week. I know he put up a dud last week, but he's going against the Panthers. The same game, I talked about it earlier, Robbie Anderson. I think he is a guy, 2-touchdown candidate this week for sure. My one Dallas guy I want is Gallup. Yep. And I just feel like everyone's just on Lamb and Cooper. I think Cooper's getting shot out by Bradbury all week. Gallup's 5,400, and he has the most snaps out of any Cowboy receiver. So he's on the field the most. And like you said, Vinny, they're just not giving the ball to Zeke. I think Gallup has a potential to go 4 or 5 times here this week. And then with the Raiders, I really like Ruggs, and then a really cheap guy is Aguilar. So if I can get cheap, stay in the Bay. Well, sorry, not the Bay, Vegas in the Bay. But going San Francisco and Las Vegas, going Debo, Ruggs, Ayuk, going those kind of combinations, I think is going to be a home run this week.
All right.
Jim? Yeah, I mean, I definitely like where Joey's going. My fade's going to be Amari. We talked about it already. He's the highest owned projected wide receiver on the slate. I'll get my exposure to Dallas elsewhere. I'm going back to Calvin Ridley after he laid a dud in primetime. I really don't care that he laid a dud in primetime. He was kind of hurt, a little bit nicked up. It's fine with me. If my highest owned wide receiver this week, and where you guys are fading Zeke and where I'm going to pay up, if this game, I mean, it all looks good. The Jets had a presumptive positive COVID test, but DeAndre Hopkins could legitimately have 10 catches for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Jets this week. I mean, he could absolutely go nuclear. He has that ability. That's what we're looking for in a GPP winning lineup, and just sign me up. Another guy that we love to hate because he always gets hurt for stupid ass reasons is Will Fuller. I'm going to definitely be back on him. One guy,
another big injury, Jacksonville, Josh Allen, their best pass rush defender is out this week. So that gives another boost to Houston.
So Will Fuller, go for it, fire him up. 8% ownership sounds good to me. The other guy, there's 2 guys in the higher end in the 6,000s that I guess people are just paying up for Zeke, but Cooper Kupp,
Yep,
7 to 8% ownership against Washington.
Dude, Woods is probably at 3% then.
give me all of that. And then the other guy that I guess because they didn't play last week and people didn't see him play, they just think that maybe he sucks or maybe I don't know. But Juju Smith-Schuster is coming in at 2% owned.
I can tell you why. And it's Darius Slay. It's Darius Slay. That's all it is. I know, but I'm saying that's what it is. People think, okay, Darius Slay on Juju, I'm off. Even though Juju is a top 10 receiver in this league.
I don't know if everybody watched the Niners game last week and watched fucking Brandon Ayuk drop his nuts on top of Darius Slay's head when he jumped over him. Juju is that type of an athlete, and I think that Darius Slay does really well against bigger wide receivers. I think he has a very, very difficult problem against athletic guys like Juju, right? So at 2 to 3% ownership in bigger tournaments, I am all about throwing some money at Juju, right? And then our low-owned dart, I know Joey hates him. I know he does. Good old Jeff Smith at the min.
Yeah.
Hefe Snithe.
3,000. Look, this is a more legitimate one than our Troutman call last week. Jeff Smith came in last week after being on IR and was consistently getting targets. Whether it was Darnold or when Flacco came in, they were running routes and scheming him up to get him open. Like at the dead min at 3,000, I literally need like 8 points. Not even that. I'll take 5 points. And if that guy gets a 0, where else I can pay up to compensate for that, I think I can overcome that this week, just like I did with Troutman. Because my lineups with Troutman last week, I cashed, even though he got a 0. So those are kind of my guys. Joe, if you were asking where Robert Woods is, Robert Woods is actually higher owned than you think. He's like 6 to 7%.
Oh no, people are getting on the Bob Woods train.
Yeah,
it took him 3 years.
I would much rather go with Cooper Kupp. He's the dynamic guy. He's the big shot guy. He's the guy with 3 to 4 touchdown potential. Or I mean, 3 to 4 might be a little much. Like 2 to 3, 2 to 3 against Washington. I mean, Washington's just bad, man. That's where I'm going.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah, we're similar. I have Ridley and Tyreek up at the top, just because they can absolutely blow up an entire game. I'm not on Hopkins. I'm just not on Kyler. I'm not really on that game. Something feels off about it. I talked about like the West Coast bad teams going to the East Coast. The Jets are barely an NFL team. I get that, but something just
playing the Jets.
Something just seems off about it.
Who on New York can cover Hopkins?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not saying yes. You're 100% right. Hopkins has 50 point upside, but he also could just play the first quarter when there's a rushing touchdown, a defensive touchdown, and Kyler runs in 2, and it's game over, 28-0. I'm just saying for that price, I'm going Ridley over him because I think the Falcons, they're not going to blow anyone out. Even if they do, obviously they're going to get caught. So that game is going to stay competitive. If I'm going up to the 7s, I'm going up to Ridley. Or Tyreek.
Stop right there real quick. Can't you play them both?
Well, if you go down at quarterback, down at both running back positions, bottom barrel tight end, yeah.
Okay.
I think there's some 6K guys you alluded to that have just as much upside.
Fair enough.
That's where I'm just kind of leaning, whereas you're putting all your eggs in that Hopkins basket, and if he comes up last week where he puts up 11, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of a weird game for Hopkins this week. It's too good to be true. You know what I mean?
For sure. I'm just with I mean, he could have a great game. He probably will. But I really like Juju as well. I love DJ Chark. I will have some Deontay Johnson Deontay.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, as well. I love CeeDee Lamb. All those guys in the 5-6K range, give me as much as I can get. I will have both, but a pivot that I'm going to make this week is everyone's moving over to Robbie Anderson. I'm going to play more DJ Moore.
Yeah, me too.
So I think they're in the same game script.
We have
a war. DJ Moore is just as talented, if not more. I mean, this dude was an elite receiver, coming into the year. He still is. He's just not getting, quite as many opportunities. So with this game, if I can get him at less ownership, I'll just take that guy.
So he's getting the opportunities, but Robbie Anderson has, for whatever reason, morphed into the short ADOT guy.
Yeah,
dude, he was on the Jets before this. Dude, he was on the Jets before this, and he still balled out.
The Jets were just hooking it deep to him, though. So he's been the short ADOT guy, and DJ Moore has been the higher variance. I mean, DJ Moore is up in the top 5 in league in air yards.
Yeah.
So I'm with Vinny. I didn't mention him, but I'm definitely playing some DJ Moore.
I like them both. I mean, I'm definitely not fading Anderson. I'm just thinking in some of my bigger tournaments, I think it's a way to get off maybe 5 to 8% of chalk,
Well, I think with guys like Teddy Two Gloves, you have to get some sort of exposure to both of those guys because it's so difficult to predict how that's going to go. I personally think that the DJ Moore call is better, Vinny, is because Atlanta is on their 4th or 5th string safety.
Easily.
And I mean, we saw Robert fucking Tonyan roasting the Falcons deep last week.
Yep.
Well, if old Bobby Tonyan can roast the Falcons deep, I mean, guys, the guy had to tackle him. He did a somersault and still caught like a 38-yard touchdown.
That was pretty unbelievable.
DJ Moore is 10 times as athletic as that guy.
Yeah.
So, look, they're going to take some shots this week. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I like the DJ Moore call. I think people are consistently scared away from him. He's priced up, and I think people are just going to go elsewhere this week. So I think it's a good call.
just a little different. I like Debo and Ayuk. I'm just afraid, like, I don't know which one to play. So
how I'm doing it, Vinny, I'm my gut's telling
up.
me Debo, so I'm splitting them, but I'm going heavier Debo.
Yeah. Some of the guys down low that I like, I'm on the Jeff Smith train. You know, I'm a little hesitant that, like, I like Jeff Smith and I like Le'Veon Bell, and I'm like, why do I like multiple Jets with a Joe Flacco offense?
What's scary about the
whatever.
Jets is not only a Joe Flacco offense, but their only positive thing on offense has been Mekhi Becton, and he's out.
Yeah,
so
I'm rolling with it. Whatever.
I think they're so fucked.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. I'm rolling with it. Just again, price point and everything. I like Russell Gage. He's down there low. I like Henry Ruggs. Those guys have massive upside. I do like Laviska Shenault. He's been hovering like 10 to 15 points consistently for the Jags every game. You know, we talked about that game shooting out a little bit, and he's a pay down guy. So if I can get some exposure there in some of my other lineups to Shenault, you know, this is a guy that can score 2 touchdowns, no problem. So,
he definitely seems like somebody they want to try and get the ball to.
Yeah. For sure.
And they'll give him little like hitches from the slot, right? And he'll gain another 10 yards after the catch. Like Shenault, like we saw that in college. He is a running back you put out a slot receiver. He's the ball really quick, let him make a play. And his game is translating to the NFL.
Yeah.
So if he just gets more targets, he's going to be fucking killing it, man. Because the way he runs the ball in the NFL looks like there's been no transition from college.
Yeah.
And that's coming from the Pac-12, which is saying a lot.
For sure. He's a really good
garbage
player.
Conference.
And the last guy I'll mention that I'm on, I'm not playing any Darius Slayton because I don't like to chalk on him. I'm playing more Golden Tate.
So, Vinny, I'm scared of the Giants here because they've scored 3 touchdowns this year. And we've talked about this. Even though the Dallas defense is terrible, the Giants offense is just as terrible.
For sure. The only reason I'm saying that is Golden Tate plays out of the slot. Dallas's defense is a complete mess. Even if they like somewhat get it together, Golden Tate will still get some targets. Like he'll still get some plays. Like there's a chance that they just like double team Slayton, and you know, like I don't know. I'm playing again. He's a price point guy. I think everyone's going to Slayton. I'm not playing like 4.5, K chalk. That's like a very bad team and an average player. So if I'm going to do it, like I'm going to go to the less chalky guy.
So are we all in agreement that we're fading Danny Dimes and Slayton together?
I will not play Danny Dimes.
I'm fading it.
I'm going to play one lineup with Danny Dimes, Slayton, and Ingram, and then bring it back with Gallup and Zeke. But other than that, outside of like a game stack, I'm not playing like a Danny Dimes and like Slayton and then another mishmash. I think if you're going to play it, you have to play it in a game stack. And that's the only way you're going to overcome the high ownership. Mm-hmm. But like, I think we're all in 100% agreement there. I mean, it's Daniel Jones.
Yeah, like, and the thing is, he actually, like, that's the thing, like, on PFF, he actually doesn't grade bad, but the pieces around him are so fucking bad. Like, the guy's running for his life every play, just making something happen.
No,
and until he gets guys around him, nothing's going to happen with them. And I think everyone's going to be hot on them this week just because of the Cowboys' terrible defense.
Well, my thought is
I think that game again is going to be like 23 to like 14 or like 23
but again,
to 10.
Exactly. I think Mike McCarthy knows that if he loses this game, like he could seriously get fired. So like to your point, Vinny, like I get why you're fading Zeke, but Zeke honestly might get 35 carries this week. He might just
He's definitely not going to get 35 carries.
No, I just don't think that's going to happen
even
with
McCarthy
if he gets,
ever. But even if he gets 25, like so that's one element, right? It's like just the targets and like just the times he's touching the ball. Even if he gets that, he's still with a terrible offensive line against a matchup that's not as good as people think. Like, that's kind of my thought. And even if they come into the game and Jerry Jones is like choking McCarthy out in the locker room, being like, give Zeke the ball, how long is it going to take for that idiot to like get into the first quarter and be like, the run's not working, I'm abandoning this, and I'm just going to air it out?
The thing
like,
is, McCarthy has a track record of doing that, and he's a lucky bastard that he had Aaron Rodgers with the Packers, because
that's what I mean.
Aaron just makes plays because he throws the ball way too much, lets his quarterback just go nuts, and it's not really good for your defense, and it's obviously been proven. So, and McCarthy's not changing, man.
But I hear what you're saying, and like, I don't disagree with like that could very much happen. I'm just like, I
just think if you're gonna play, if you want exposure to that game, and if you're gonna play somebody high priced, and if it's gonna come down to Dak or Zeke, I think this week I'm going to play Zeke, because I think that there's a chance that he could have 4 touchdowns this week.
All I'm saying is, like, I'm just trusting my eyes, and my eyes for the first 4 weeks of the season says I'm not paying 25% of ownership of a guy who's not prioritizing that offense.
Fair enough.
Like, it could happen, you know, like, I don't know, you know, Danny Dimes could throw for 500 yards, but I haven't seen it. Like,
it did happen once last year.
All right, boys. All right.